It is February the 12th, 9:43. Just beginning to look for some entries here. Nothing's really set up that I could catch so far, although looking to get long the VIX here. I have an order waiting at 29.23 to see if the VIX if it cracks above the recent highs, then I'm going to be a buyer on this breakout, because we have an unfilled gap at 29.78. So just drawing my risk to rewards there. It puts it all the way up here, which would be a 3-hour trade. I think that's a decent risk to reward. So that's where I'm going to be looking to hold that position if it gets to that area. Just a broader market. So the broader market's gapped up today, 0.75% at the open. So quick look at the ES here for a second. We had a nice gap up right into the yesterday's range, a little above yesterday's range. I mean, that little ding there signifies that I just got long on BHP, or actually BBL, which is BHP Billiton. So just take a look at that quick entry here. And actually, this is not a great indication right now, as it's getting a little bit on the oversold side already. So let's quickly watch and see what happens here. Apologies, it's actually not the BHP position that got filled. It's actually the VIX position. I was moving around too quickly there. BHP or BBL did not get filled and actually broke down, so I'm thankful that I did not get filled on that one. But the VIX is actually the one that got filled at 29.23. So here we are. Back to the bigger time frame for a second. So on the bigger time frame on the VIX, we have some overhead resistance here, which is a little problematic. So you want to see how it begins to react to these levels here, especially these moving averages. The good thing is that we broke above this opening range low, but I see definitely some resistance here, and it will require quite a bit of effort to try to get through there. So it's a tough trade. We'll see what happens there. I'm going to try to again trail aggressively on the VIX position once it starts to move in my favor. But we had this unfilled gap at 29.78, which is, I think, it's a decent risk to reward profile. And we see this declining volume, which is what I like to see, but I really want to see buyers step in here now, because if the buyers don't begin to step in here and we see sellers overwhelm things, then this position is definitely going to be at risk. So I really want to see some volume accompanying this move here now. We have the momentum, right? So we have the strong push from, good strong drive here at the open. But ideally, we want to see some volume accompanying that to really push this thing to these subsequent levels. Okay, 9:47. Let's see how these play out. Quick update on the VIX position. It is now up +1. I've trailed my stop to -1R. And we're still not seeing the volume, so I don't have a lot of conviction in this setup. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. We've got news coming out, some significant news coming out at 10 o'clock. There's both, the business inventories and consumer sentiment, which can certainly move the markets. So the good news is that my stops are below the opening range high right now. So we're down here. If my stops are up here, I'd expect probably to get stopped out in the position, without a doubt. Here, if the news comes out, I'm already long, so this is, I'm going to hold and maintain this position. My stop's right here, right now, 29.03. So we'll have to wait and see how the market reacts to this one. Not a great situation where we don't see a lot of volume heading in here, and if I see it begin to break down before the news comes out, i.e. I see several markets correlating and seeing it's going to break down, then I'm going to look to take a partial either profit or loss. But right now, I'm just going to stay long this position. As the ES, we still have a downtrend in the ES. None of the fundamentals of the trade have broken down yet, right? So we still have this downtrend here. We're not seeing a pickup in selling. That's the only thing that that's not really favoring us right now. So there is not a a pickup in volume, which is we would like to see that. And on the ES, just on a higher time frame, what we're seeing here is that we have some good support probably here from the opening range low from yesterday. So if maybe it gets down into here, 34.25, this area here would be a good place, potential place for it to bounce, or at least to try to find some support. And then it could go higher, because in a longer term trend, you know, the ES is currently up, but we'll just give it some wiggle room and see how it plays out. It is 9:54, news coming out in 6 minutes. Okay, 10:01, news just came out. That ding there just means I'm at plus 2R now on that VIX. Gonna trail to plus 1R. I'm looking at the YM right now. The YM's giving some clearer signals right now, and then the ES, and then, you know, I look at both the YM and the ES. So the YM, you know, we had a good little range here forming. This consolidation, it broke out of that here now on that particular bar out of the news with some increased volume. So now we have a clear break of the opening range on the 2-minute chart. So on the 30-minute chart, and the longer time frame chart, you know, it's still, we got some support here from these moving averages. So I still think there could be some buyers stepping in here. So we really need to see how much selling pressure steps in. Otherwise, I could see some support stepping in if the sellers don't continue to push it down. So I've already trailed my stop to plus 1R. So worst comes to worst, I capture plus 1 in this trade. I'm seeing that right now the area of resistance for this at 731 on the YM. So I'm looking at like right around here. If we see the YM crack this level here, so this kind of coincides with this trend line like that. If it can crack above 731, then that's a clear indication the buyers are stepping in. Now on the VIX trade, so where we're at here with the VIX, you know, it hit 29.59 there, right on the dot, plus 2R. I've trailed my stop now to 29.40. Again, there's no increase, you know, there's a very little small bump in buying pressure here, so not significant. So at this point, I think it's a real stalemate. Like there isn't a lot of conviction right now. So, you know, I really need to see some buying pressure step up here for me to have real conviction in this VIX trade. Right now, you know, I'm trailing plus 1R. Whatever happens, happens. Here's a nice pop that just happened here on the FCX. So it looks like some basic material names are beginning to move. This could be a good opportunity. Let's keep our eye on it. 10:03. Alright, so quick update. Stopped out on the VIX for plus 1R. You know, I trailed my stop aggressively on that one just because I didn't have a lot of conviction on that. So plus 1R in the VIX trade, plus maybe a little bit of slippage. Now long actually the FCX. On my last update I was talking about strength in the FCX. I think this thing has the room to move, and I like kind of the risk to reward in this one. I think we can push up to maybe the 564 area up here, which would make this thing a legitimate asymmetrical trade. So, you know, we have some good wiggle room there. We have some selling pressure coming in, so that's not a great thing to see. But right now, on the higher time frame chart, give it a second to refresh. You know, we're right on the opening range. So ideally, you know, in the next several minutes, we'd see this thing kind of step and close above the opening range high, and then we'd be in a good position for this thing to move higher. So let's keep watching FCX. Just back on the VIX for a second here. You know, we're running right into some areas of resistance from these moving averages. I think it's going to be tough to clear this, so we'll have to wait and see. But right now, long FCX 10:07. Another quick update. FCX now going in our favor, up plus 1 now. Perfect, you know, volume profile here where we're seeing volume picking up and stepping in. So we now expect this one to move. Trailing this position now to 517 to minimize some of our risk. And next area is 538. So the VIX alternatively has now broken down. So that was a good read on the VIX there. So I'm just going to set some alerts here while the FCX position begins to move in our favor. So the next area I'm looking at is 538, where we're going to be up plus 2, and then I'm going to trail to plus 1R. So again, look at the YM. I think the YM's a clear read today, a nicer read. We popped above this area here, so I even like this. We were talking about 731 before, but I actually see this now at 723 being the area that that was the previous resistance. We have this descending trend line coinciding with this channeling structure, right? This channeling range. We get a pop out of that on increased volume. I want to see even more volume pick up here now to really flush out those shorts. So let's take a look at the VIX here and see how those guys are doing. You know, if you're long the VIX right now, you know, this trend line that was in place before is now broken. So you know, you can draw another trend line going down this way, and we can wait and see how this breaks. So this low here that was placed at 29.33. Once this guy is violated, I think a lot of this on this bar here. Once this area was broken down, I think a lot of longs got flushed. So I expect to see more selling here in the short term. All right. So 10:13. Interesting day so far. We have some of the materials names begin to pop a bit. Guys like, you know, FCX, which I'm long. You know, I'm long FCX here, and guys like BHP popped up as well. So we can see here BHP popped out of its opening range high. We'd like to see these guys consolidated a bit before perhaps moving higher. I think right now the materials names are looking somewhat strong. So let's see if they can hold on to these uptrends. Okay, 10:13. Okay, quick update, 10:20. ES has now popped up, as we can see there, so that's very productive on the ES side. I'm just drawing in some ranges here earlier on the YM. So basically anything above the green line, you know, we were holding that kind of channel for a bit, and any closes above that was kind of, I was watching that as being an indication that buyers were in control. If we break below this red line here, then, you know, that's kind of a range that I would think the sellers would be in control. So as you can see here now, you know, with this pop, this really got the stops, or the shorts really got their stops handed to them here. You know, this is just basically a flood of shorts getting stopped out. And so the momentum now is clearly on the side of the buyers. They pushed it up to the opening range high now. You know, if we see the opposite in the VIX, you know, the VIX just collapsed here just a few moments ago. Same thing, right? Drew these green lines. If you could get above that area there, then the buyers would have been in control in the VIX. But you know, that 29.33 level that we talked about, that guy was basically an indication that the sellers were in control, and now we've broken below that. So I would expect, you know, the selling to get back, for the VIX to push it back into its opening. So right around here, like the opening range high, 29.06 level. I think that's a you know, a good target for folks who are short that. And the some of the names are beginning to pop up here, like let's say BHP Billiton here. Again, we've been watching that one set up. I elected to go long FCX instead, but BHP looking very productive here. You know, we see this nice move now here on BHP. Look at that, right? So we have some good. That's a nice looking chart there. We have some rounded bottoms on the BHP. Well, if I can actually draw the rounded bottoms, that would actually help. All right, there you go, rounded bottom, and another rounded bottom here. Me and my charts today having a little bit of user error, fat finger syndrome. Okay, and my FCX trade is, I think we're currently about +1 R up on this trade here. I would expect it to catch up pretty quickly. See, it's, yeah, up +1-ish, +1 R. And so, you know, we'll trail to -1 R right now, so let's see how it moves. Again, all lock in step with the overall market, right? Always trading in the direction of the overall markets. So right now, the coast is clear for the buyers. Expectation, I think, for the majority of participants is that, you know, we're going to continue to move to the upside. And I think they're going to try to push those shorts down a bit and get some of their stops gunned out below. Okay, it is 10:23. Alright, quick update, it's 10:38. FCX has now moved to +2 in my favor, closing in on +3. So it's playing out pretty nicely here on the FCX. The volume is a bit choppy. The market itself is slowly kind of grinding higher, grinding down the shorts, and the guys who are trying to get shorter are probably getting a bit frustrated right now, as it's not a smooth market. So if we take a look at the let's take a look at the ES first. Actually, let's go back to the VIX as we were talking about the VIX. You know, the VIX had, as I mentioned in the last update, it was going to probably touch the opening range high. And excuse me there, that little dinging sound means my FCX position just moved to +3R. So now we're going to adjust our risk. I'm going to move it up to +2R. So the minimum we stand to gain on this trade is +2R, plus slippage. So worst comes to worst today, just lock that in, is that we capture +3R because we had the +1R trade on the VIX this morning, and then now the +2R trade plus slippage if it happens on the FCX. So worst comes to worst today, we got a +3R day. So just let me set an alert again for my next levels. This is at 552, and actually I'd actually be looking to lighten up at 552 because I think that's might be a good area to begin to lighten up just based on the Fibonacci targets. So if you take a look on the 15-minute chart here, the 552 is way up here, and that would be at the 161.8 extension, and that would be a logical area to begin to take some profits. Okay, so the 552 area, I think, is a decent place to try to get out as a target. Now, on the broader time frame, the ES, it's actually fighting its opening range high here. So this right now is where we kind of need to watch out. At this point here, the buyers have to kind of really be trying to exert their control. Otherwise, we could get a rollover. So that's something to definitely watch out for as we're getting to a fairly significant moment here. But the overall market, other sectors of the market are doing pretty well. Like for instance, FAS, so the financials today are doing quite well. So actually, while I say that, it's pulled back a bit. But the financials, we had a number of strong names in the financials like Citigroup and JP Morgan. And they had popped out of their opening ranges, moved a bit, but now they're coming back in again. So again, as I said before, maybe this is an area we need to begin to watch for to see if the sellers can take control again. Because look at what we're seeing here on the VIX, right? The VIX, it found some support on the opening range high. Buyers are beginning to step in here, and they're trying to create this, this breakout of this uptrend. So if we can see some conviction on the buy side on the VIX, then we could see the VIX continue to begin to move higher here, and that would be a negative headwind for some of these individual names like Citigroup and JP Morgan. But look at Citigroup right now, right? That's a nice looking chart. It's a nice looking chart, right? So it's really popped up nicely out of its opening range high. Let's see JP Morgan. Not quite as nice as Citigroup, but above its opening range highs. And finally, let's go back to the YM one more time. The YM is consolidating productively right on the opening range high, right? So we had that really strong up bar, which we talked about. With, it's a big message bar there, and now we've had some time to consolidate those recent gains, and we could see the buyers step in here. So it's again, it's all about these VIX guys. Let's see what they can do, right? Are we going to see some sellers of the VIX, or are we going to see some buyers of the VIX? And so I think this is going to be an interesting area in the next few minutes to watch. Okay, 10:42. Alright, another quick update. So FCX had a bit of consolidation here. It's popped above the current level consolidation. I was watching more of Citigroup here. I'm watching Citigroup kind of climb up. And that's very, indicative of strength here, right? So the overall markets, even though the ES looks like it had broken down a bit here, and still it's in this small downtrend. We have guys like the financials, which are really rocketing today, like the XLF today. which is the ETF on financials. It's up 2.64% right now. So we're really seeing financials move today. Guys like Citi, which I just showed already. JP Morgan even beginning to show strength here. And JP Morgan, Jimmy Dimon just declared earlier this morning, or I don't know when he declared it, but he was buying more shares of JP Morgan. So that's clearly lifted the markets. So I'm actually watching the YM here because I think it's trading very clean today. I see this channel here, and the reds and greens kind of tell the story here, right? If it closes below and trades below, I believe these red levels here, I think we could have a turnover. However, if it can break above the 784 level, then I think again it's off to the races. It can move materially higher, because on the YM, where we have, we have an unfilled gap up top here. And just really back to the FCX for a second here. The FCX, we have our Fibonacci targets at 555, and I'm actually looking out to get out a little bit earlier. I want to get out at I'm happy to get out at 552, just so that I'm actually going to get filled probably a little bit earlier than a lot of people who may have that as a target. Who knows, it could run further, but for me, I think that's a decent area for me to get out of my position. Okay, so 1050. Alright, so final update for the day. I am now out of my FCX position at 552. Went up to 553, so that's where I got out at 552. I think it could move a little higher, but I'm happy getting out that area there. That's kind of a Fibonacci target, 555. I want to get out a little sooner than that because I think some people, I don't want to be the last guy trying to sell there, so I'd rather get out a little bit early. So I might take my target a bit early there, and it could run a lot more, or it could be exactly there, right? But that's my decision for the day on that one. And we were just talking about the YM on my last update. 784 was the area, right? So we look at it now. Bam, fighting 784. It really needs to break above that, and then to see the move continue higher. But I think right now there's enough, wind at the market sales that it's possible that it can move higher. But that's where things stand now. So we had a good trading session today. Caught plus 1R again on the VIX. So let's just quickly go back to our VIX. Alright, so we caught plus 1R on the VIX at 29.40. Is where we got out on this first trade. I got stopped out right there for plus 1R, plus a little slippage. And then for the FCX, we caught a plus 4 on this one, so we got a nice plus 5R day. So it's a good way to end the trading day, good way to end the trading week on a Friday, and the market can now do whatever it wants to do. We're done for the day. So 10:53, I'm just going to remain in observation mode here, but we're going to wrap up this video. All the best.